Hello and welcome to the Passion Witch Project. My name is Emily Steckel. I'm a Reiki practitioner, pharmacist, and passion witch. And on this show, we chat with folks who are leaning into their passions and just being authentic in what makes them wonderfully weird. And today we are joined by the incomparable Xanthi Russell, our current reigning Miss New Hampshire.
Hello,
Welcome,
Emily.
Xanthi.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks for being here. This is such a treat. So I'll share that we met at an event that I think was important to both of us.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, an event put on by the Salvation Army for the Santa Fund.
Yes.
And it was just such a treat to connect with you and hear a little bit about your journey as Miss New Hampshire, participating in the pageant, and just the other incredible work that you're doing.
Yeah, it was a wonderful connection to be made. It's been a couple years attending that specific event, and I love the opportunity that service has provided to network this year, especially in my life. So very happy to be connected with you now.
Yeah, you too. Well, I like to start these episodes by asking a really hard question, and I preface it by saying you don't have to have an answer, and it's allowed to change as you do. But if you could be the best in the world at one thing, what would it be?
My main passion throughout competing for Miss New Hampshire as a young child was leadership. So I would love to be the best leader. And by that I don't mean having a higher esteemed position. I mean I have always desired to be somebody that unites people, somebody that people are comfortable speaking to, following, and trusting. So that is the one thing I would love to be absolutely the best at in the world. By those standards.
I love that answer. This is maybe a tricky follow-up question, but when you think about leaders that have influenced you or that you look up to, that you see as, oh, if I could be a little bit more like them, but in my own authentic way, are there people that come to mind?
Plenty of people come to mind. I grew up in 4-H, so I had so many adult mentors throughout my childhood that were really influencing me to pursue leadership in an authentic and driven way. But also this network of women that I'm connected to through Miss America and Miss New Hampshire now, I look to each and every one of them as an example with specific facets of leadership. Everybody kind of has their niche, like what they're good at, and I love to use the resources of people around me to improve, if somebody's a particularly good speaker, somebody's particularly good at networking, community service. I've always give myself credit for kind of taking elements from each of those people. So there's a wide variety of people that have inspired me and that I want to take elements of their leadership style.
Oh, I love that. If you could narrow it down, knowing that there are many more than this, but like 3 elements of what you feel make a great leader. Are there, what are kind of some things that come to mind?
I think passion's important. That's what we're here to talk about. It's important when you're a leader to be passionate about what you're doing, to have a why, a driving why. I recently spoke to the candidates for Miss New Hampshire this year about having your why in your heart. And it can't just be, in this role specifically, the why can't just be winning. You can't just want to win. That can't be the only thing you want. It has to have a deeper and passion and intentionality with it. So I think that that's really important to being a good leader. Communication is incredibly important to being a good leader because, if you're a person that people are coming to with a wide variety of ideas, you need to be able to accept them, hear them, communicate them to the broader group, and just kind of be a conduit between all of the people that you are leading. And last but not least, I personally have I took like a Harvard leadership style test, and one of my elements of leadership, I'm an inspirational leader. So I use enthusiasm to get a group together and work toward our common goal, and that's something that's really important to me when you're kind of leading a team effort. Getting everybody on the same page and excited to accomplish your shared goal, I think is really important and ends up with a better product at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know that the work that you're doing right now, as Miss New Hampshire, it's multifaceted. There are so many components to it that I would love for you to share with the audience. But first, I'd like to know a little bit about what sparked this interest for you, because it's a unique path, I think, especially in this part of the country.
Yes.
Where did that passion come from for you?
Well, I grew up in 4-H, which is the largest youth development program in the nation, and it's all emphasized on leadership, community service, parliamentary procedure, public speaking, really developing your unique qualities as a leader and pursuing young people to kind of hold themselves to a higher standard. And kind of one of our newest mottos is beyond ready. So when you leave school, you're not just ready for the real world as a 4-H'er, you're beyond ready. So I always kind of had this call to leadership and call to community service because I started in that at such a young age. I was also a competitive dancer through most of my childhood and teenage years. So a friend of mine who participated in the pageant program said to me, you know, I think this is right up your alley. It combines so many things that you're already doing into one program. You should give it a try. And that year I looked at the contract and I said, I can't commit to this year. I'm too busy. I was at a national 4-H event, National 4-H Congress in Atlanta, Georgia that very same year. And Miss America was one of the celebrity speakers. And I got to meet her and talk with her. And she was so kind to me. It was in like the most awkward phase of my life, serious brace face. She was so kind and so real and exemplified so many of the leadership qualities that I have always wanted. Up to that point, I was 16 at the time, freshly 16. And I said, well, heck, maybe I could be Miss America. And I started competing that following summer and have never stopped. An amazing full circle moment is that Miss America was a judge for Miss New Hampshire this year.
Stop it.
So very serendipitous when you think about it that way.
Wow.
Yeah.
I absolutely love it. You know, I think something that I've been thinking a lot about in preparing for this episode with you is it takes such courage to say, I mean, not just to put yourself in a position where you're going to be under the public scrutiny, right, in the public eye, but also to say, like, I see beauty and where it is important in our culture, and it is an asset in helping put forward the things that I believe in.
Yes, absolutely.
Right, to lean to really like embrace beauty. Did you ever feel like that was an obstacle you had to kind of overcome?
Well, I think so often we're very comfortable putting women in boxes. And for me, one of my many goals as Miss New Hampshire this year has been to prove that you can be beautiful and glamorous and intelligent and strong and tough all at the same time. And one of my years as a local title holder, I was serving a specific community here at home, and they were so resistant to having a local title holder. And I got comments from people in high power in this city saying, you know, like, well, if this isn't a beauty pageant that you're doing, why do you wear stuff like that? Really kind of belittling the value of crown and sash. If you're beautiful, you can't possibly be smart. And so that has been a huge obstacle in this job, because to me, I think the women of Miss America are people that are embracing their unique beauty and their confidence, because I think confidence is what makes us beautiful, while also promoting strong leadership qualities, a commitment to education, and a strength and confidence that not many people have. And if you look at title holders from across our nation, there's local title holders in every state in the country. We all look different. You know, there's no two that look the same, and I think that that's something that is not celebrated or highlighted enough. So it's something I've tried to be really vocal about in my year.
I love that definition of beauty as rooted in confidence.
Yes, absolutely.
Where do you think that confidence comes from?
I think when it comes to Miss America, for me, this is an empowerment program. Being told that, like, you can achieve big goals, you can, you know, have the power in your own hands to make your dreams a reality, I think that awakens such a fierce confidence in yourself. And I think of, you know, my experience in 4-H as well, their leadership development style, it gives youth a place to kind of express their unique leadership qualities. It gives them something to be productive with, and knowing your value and being kind of positively encouraged to kind of awaken that value, I think sets young people up for great success going forward. They're less likely to respond to peer pressure. They're less likely to, you know, doubt themselves because they've been taught from a young age, like, this is what you have to offer. So I think that that's really important to foster that in young people especially, because not everybody's born with this innate confidence. I think sometimes it has to be honed and sharpened like a blade. So
Yeah, absolutely. And I wonder, I mean, it sounds like 4-H has just been hugely impactful for you.
Yes.
What do you feel that program is doing so well to foster that intrinsic sense of value, to foster that kind of confidence and knowing that
I
wow.
loved that it started at such a young age.
Okay. When
So
does 4-H start?
I started at 9, but
Okay.
the program itself starts at 5 and 6 years old.
Okay.
And from the beginning, they are encouraging young people to step outside of their comfort zone, talk to grown-ups. It's, I think, a really valuable skill that 4-Hers have that maybe kids that don't participate in 4-H don't necessarily practice.
Yeah.
So like public speaking, a confidence in speaking, an opportunity to express themselves. So a lot of the time, the clubs are run by the youth participants. So when I was 12, I was already running a meeting as president, vice president, secretary of various different clubs. And because they put the power into the teens' hands, there's this confidence in that power, while also the weight of responsibility. So I think that that's a really great tool that maybe other programs don't put so much emphasis on, like, you can run this show, you have the power, with adult supervision, of course. But I did everything in 4-H, from public speaking to civic engagement, fashion, even shooting sports, and everything was youth-run, youth-focused, with supportive adults telling them that, like, you have the power to kind of write your own story here. And one of our other mottos is make the best better. And to me, I've carried that on in the rest of my life, kind of this spirit of excellence that, you know, when you think you've peaked, when you think you're done learning, no, you're not. There's like always room for improvement. And for me, I think that has been tremendously helpful in my professional life and when it came to pursuing Miss New Hampshire too. And I think that it's really good for young people to strive to improve, to never kind of settle or become complacent. I think that's really important.
How do you know for yourself when it's time to step out again, when it's time to take a little risk to grow? Like, what does it feel like for you?
I think it's kind of a constant thing. Every day you're doing something to kind of hone your skills. For me, in this job uniquely, every day I have the opportunity to do something completely different. And every now and again, it's out of my comfort zone. You know, not everybody would be comfortable sitting here and talking with you or getting our hands dirty and doing community service. So it's kind of a constant for me. I've always kept very busy, and it's something I love. I call myself a joy junkie. I just love making people happy. I love serving people. And so for me, it's like a constant energy devoted to what can I do to be useful today? What can I do to improve myself and the world around me today?
What brings you the most joy at this moment in your life?
I love, one of the best parts of my job is being able to interact with the young generation of future leaders. I was in a second grade classroom recently, and I just planned another school visit today before I was here. Getting to see their faces light up when they see the crown and sash, they think that this is a royalty thing, and I get to explain to them, you can do everything that I'm doing too. And the hugs and the joy, it's contagious when a young person is a little kid just sees the crown and sash and lights up. That is the best part of my job, and that is what fuels me every day. I have nieces and nephews, and so I think about, especially my niece, if she ever competes in Miss America, I want to leave it better for her. And I want to be a strong leader that my nephews can look up to and say that they want to model those behaviors. So working with little kids, especially in this job, has been the greatest part, great joy.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
What do you feel like better means when it comes to if your niece were to compete?
Yeah. So Miss America's been around for 105-ish years now. It's withstood the test of time so far, and I think the foundation, there's actually some symbolism to this crown. It's got the 4 points, which are scholarship, service, style, and success. But the base of the crown, the foundation of our program, is sisterhood. And so one of the things that I've really wanted to invest in as Miss New Hampshire is kind of laying the groundwork to maintain the sisterhood we have here in New Hampshire, to stay connected with the women I met at Miss America and keep that sisterhood very grounded and strong. We're actually having our second reunion this month. We miss each other so desperately. The last time we saw each other was November. So we can't go long without seeing one another, which is, I think, an amazing testament. And advertising that this program has grown in the last 105 years. It has evolved because I think the more that people understand where we're at now instead of where we were at before, the better, the more understood our program can be, the stronger our scholarships will be, the stronger our public perception will be, and that is what's going to ensure that it stands the test of time. So like as an advocate, that's something that I've invested a lot in.
I love hearing you talk about sisterhood, and it came up a little bit when we met, especially in the context of well, you had expressed some passion for entrepreneurship and helping people to grow their businesses and in a community, right? To do that with the assistance of other folks. What does that look like, do you think, for you moving forward?
Well, so when I think about my professional career after Miss New Hampshire is over, I think about the connections that I've made this year. The platform that this role has given me has increased my personal voice and put me in rooms that I might not have been present in prior to having this opportunity presented to me. So for me, I definitely have some like internships on the table because of people I've directly met through being Miss New Hampshire. And I'm just a people person. So to me, I used this year to my advantage to not only, promote myself and work on my own personal networking, but to make it a symbiotic relationship of not just like what can this person do for me, but what can I do for them. And I think that's a really important skill that you should carry for the remainder of a professional career. So for me, this year and the sisterhood connections between myself and Forever Miss New Hampshires, myself and my Miss America sisters, the business owners that I've been able to meet, the industry leaders here in New Hampshire that I've been able to meet. It's all one giant community, and investing in personal relationships with all varieties of people, I think will most certainly, it already has opened a lot of doors for me, which is great.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, and it's hard when we think about energy and time as being finite, right?
Yes.
I'm sure you've met so many incredible folks.
Yes.
How do you choose which relationships to nurture, which, where to put those valuable resources of your time and energy?
Absolutely. I try, this is my full-time job this year. Being Miss New Hampshire, it's kind of a 24/7 thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for me, being cognizant of my own time and energy limits, when it comes to prioritizing like what connections are most beneficial, really it's a matter of, is this a two-way street or not? For me, I've found a handful of relationships at a variety of levels to be lacking on the other side. I try to almost always reach out when I've made a new connection via email, Instagram Messenger, whatever. To do my part to foster that relationship. And when I find that like perhaps it's not quite double-sided, it's not 50-50, that's when I know like it is okay, permissible to take a step back and invest my energy elsewhere, because if it's not being reciprocated, I think it's important to take that as a sign and move on.
I think that's such a valuable skill as a leader,
Absolutely.
right? I mean, to be aware of what reciprocity looks like.
Yes.
Certainly for me as a witch, reciprocity is a huge part
Yes.
of my work, and thinking about working with nature and thinking about working with other people, right? To
Absolutely.
know, I mean, you're putting it out there, and I like, to be willing to come on this show and to be willing to
Absolutely.
take this little risk.
Yeah.
We're so grateful for you to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely loving the experience so far.
That's great. I am curious, not everybody would be willing to chat with a witch.
Yeah.
What makes you open to it?
I've talked to a whole variety and host of people as Miss New Hampshire. I've been interacted with all sorts of people. To me, it's insignificant. You are a wonderful person that I met and connected with at this event. I feel we share a lot of the same leadership and human priorities. And so, witch or not, I think you're wonderful, and I'm happy to talk to you here on the show today and forge that professional relationship, because I think you and I share a lot of values, and not afraid of a little white magic.
I love that. I think that mindset is just so valuable for existing in the world.
Absolutely.
Right? We're often tuned more into what makes us different.
Yes.
But when we can be actively looking for where there's resonance,
Yes.
I mean, that's magic, I think.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's so easy to pick apart what can separate us. I think we become way stronger when we emphasize the things that make us similar. So that's just like a personal set of values that I've got.
Yeah, I'm with you there.
Yeah.
I wonder too, this is a hard question and you're always welcome to say no thanks, but I think often some of these lessons are learned through some hardship or through
Yes.
feeling like maybe you didn't belong or feeling like, I think sometimes we come to appreciate other people all the more when we haven't felt appreciated ourselves.
Yes.
Yeah. Do you feel like there have been moments in your life when you felt that way, where you grew through it to this new understanding?
Absolutely. So, I mean, prior to my pageant experience, we talked a bit earlier about like putting women in a box.
Yeah.
I found out maybe my 8th grade year of middle school that I had been dubbed like the dumb, cute friend. And that's kind of what everyone's understanding of me was, and I was pigeonholed into that role in the friend group.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until a friend of mine caught a glimpse of my score on a math test being higher than hers. And it sent the friend group for a loop. They just didn't know what to do with me. I always dressed really cute. I was boy crazy. I was this bubbly, dumb, cute, stereotype personality. And they had no idea that there was a brain hiding behind the hair, So when it came to starting my pageant journey, feeling like I was inviting those stereotypes onto myself extra was a very difficult thing to cope with, because I kind of thought to myself, all of these hardships, I'm constantly having to prove people wrong and go out of my way to explain to them, is it worth the time and energy to prove that to them? And obviously, I feel it totally is. I've been very vocal in my social media presence about just the diversity of this job. We have a personal fitness trainer. I'm doing tons of community service. I get dressed up every now and again. But I also, have the behind the scenes days where I'm just doing admin work all day long. So that's been feeling very out of place and feeling like I had something to prove was definitely kind of something I've struggled with at times. We talked about hardships, and I've tried very hard not to make this my shtick, but 3 days after I won Miss New Hampshire, my boyfriend of 4 years passed away. And this year has been an intense emotional roller coaster because of that. And I'm a very firm believer in finding the silver linings in things. And as tragic and as hard, I still struggle, obviously. I believe that there had to be a reason for me to learn that lesson and experience that hardship that is eventually going to make me a better person. So for me, some of the things that have been side effects of that, my compassion for strangers has grown because I do not know what those people are going through, in the same way that people didn't necessarily know what I was going through at that time. Whereas my compassion for maybe friends and family who I do know what they're going through, I think, I've lost the spirit of complaining for myself because life can always be so much worse. So when a friend takes to the streets this is going wrong in my life, I often find myself well, you're still here. It's all good. It's been an interesting mindset shift and has strengthened my perception life could always be worse, and to be very grateful for what I do have in my life.
I think gratitude is such an empowering practice.
Absolutely.
How does gratitude play out in your life? Do you have sort of...
I don't have a particular practice other than I wake up happy to be alive every day, and I try to surround myself with people who do not complain. I think when we pour too much negative energy out, it's good to vent when things are going wrong, but to be surrounded by people that only live in the negative space, I think is really emotionally draining for all of us, and I think it can lead to a habit of a complaining nature. So for me, when it comes to being intentional about my friendships, being around very positive people, that has made me more grateful to be alive and to be surrounded by people who are also grateful to be alive every day. And whether things are going right or going wrong on that given day, just to like have the spirit of gratitude, like I'm here and this day is mine to conquer type of thing.
Yeah, it sounds like you have maybe a little bit of a higher altitude view, right?
I think, I hope so.
Yeah, just knowing that, these ebbs and flows, these ups and downs are going to happen regardless, but we can
Absolutely.
be kind of like overall grateful for it all happening.
Exactly.
Yeah. Huh.
Yeah.
What would you like for folks to know about the Miss America world? Actually, maybe let's talk about this box because you had started. So yes, if you just share a little bit about what it is.
This is the Miss New Hampshire crown box, and it is a really special keepsake that I get for my year of service. It's got Miss New Hampshire 2025, and it's made by one of our very own volunteers here in the state of New Hampshire, and he's actually selling them across the country now. Wow. But New Hampshire had him first, so we're very lucky. So when the crown and sash are not on me, they live in this beautiful velvet-lined box from Matt. It's an amazing keepsake, and I was telling you earlier, the crown and sash get to come with me for the rest of my life because there will never be another Miss New Hampshire 2025. Yeah. So this box and this outfit, this getup is going to have a place in my home, a shrine for the rest of my life, I think.
Yes, which is so cool. And I would love for you to share with the audience the little piece of trivia that you shared with me about how likely it is for...
We just had the Super Bowl, and every pageant girl's favorite statistic is you're more likely to have a son compete in the Super Bowl than to have a daughter compete at Miss America. Just like basic math, there's like 50 people per team in the Super Bowl. You can go back multiple times, and that happens annually. For Miss America, there are only 52 girls on stage. You can only go once in the whole of your life, and so just basic probabilities. So as a member of the Miss America class of 2026, I'm so honored to have been part of that statistic this year, for sure. Yeah.
And I love the relationships that you've been able to keep, and how it is such a rarefied experience. Like I can't imagine the bonds that you've formed with the other women in your cohort.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Just we joke that it's like an element of trauma bonding. Like you're running on 3 hours of sleep a night, you're exhausted, but you show up, and there's just so much love to be shared. It's wonderful. Truly some of my best friends in the world.
And once you've done something like that, I mean, so many other things I'm sure seem so possible.
Oh, absolutely. You're standing on that stage and the whole world is out before you, and it kind of makes you feel unstoppable to a degree, If I can go out there and bare my soul for the whole world to see, and, it's amazing.
I love that. Thank you.
Yeah.
And so in closing, is there anything that you'd like to share with viewers about being Miss America, if someone were curious about entering into that world, or just about you, about where to find you and follow your journey as it continues?
Absolutely. For any young women out there who are interested in competing in the Miss America opportunity, go ahead and visit our website, www.missnh.org, to learn about that. Our state competition will be held late April, early May this year, April 30th through May 2nd, here in New Hampshire at the Stockbridge Theater in Derry. I encourage you, if you haven't watched a pageant and you have a view of what you think that looks like, come and watch and see for yourself and be proven wrong, because it's a great thing to behold. Follow me on Instagram, Miss America NH, and looking forward to continuing to educate the public about how multifaceted this job is.
Oh, Xanthi, thank you so much for being here. I'm so grateful for your presence, and look forward to chatting again later.
Thank you, Emily.
Thank you, viewers. We'll see you next time.